A girl who was a female snake in a previous life. Once upon a time, there was a very beautiful daughter in a very rich man's house. My daughter said that she wanted to go to the pond by saying the name of Tanadake since she was little. Every time my parents heard it, they tilted their heads strangely. Yada Pond is a big pond that takes several days to walk from here, and my daughter has never been there. Well, the spring when my daughter turned 16 years old, my parents finally allowed my daughter to go to Tanatake. But if something happens on the way, it will be difficult, so I accompanied my daughter with several people. A few days later, my daughter's party finally arrived at Tanita Pond. Tears of joy were floating in the eyes of my daughter who saw Tanitake for the first time. My daughter put her hands together in front of a small shrine, Yashiro, by the pond. When the prayer was done, my daughter said she wanted to wash her hands with the water from the pond and approach the pond. And as it was, my daughter jumped into the pond. When the surprised attendants jumped into the pond and tried to help my daughter's body turned into a snake and disappeared into the water. My parents, who were very sad when they heard this story, asked a famous fortune teller to tell whether their daughter had become a Buddha safely. Then the fortune teller said this: "Your daughter's previous life is a female snake, the wife of a giant snake, the lord of Tanada. My daughter is still living happily at the bottom of the pond as the master's wife." A few years later, in May of one year, the owner of Tanita Pond tried to make the pond into a field by filling it with soil. And I asked the monk to pray for 7 days so that the serpent of the Lord of the Pond would not rampage and get in the way of the construction. Then, on the night of the 7th day, a large snake of a couple living in the pond put a snake scale on the side of the pond and disappeared somewhere. The end.